And with things being a bit more expensive right now, it makes it a little harder to save up. But what if an emergency comes up? Do you have money set aside? CPA Charlie Heid is with us this afternoon to talk more about building up that emergency fund. And Charlie, before we get to all that, we do want to know, because we want to know if money's going to stay in our pocket or not. What's the latest with the tax bill in Congress?
So the tax bill passed the House on May 22nd, and it is officially called the Big Beautiful Bill. Okay? So it passed the House on the 22nd. Then they went on break. They came back from break yesterday. It was picked up by the Senate today. We all know that the bill is not law, that it has to go through the Senate. They will do their version of the bill, and then they'll get together and they'll reconcile their differences and then vote and then send that to the president. So then the question is, when? Well, we've heard July 4th is when the Treasury Secretary would like to have a bill to the president's desk. That's really aggressive.
Yeah, that's not that far from now.
There's a lot of what passed the House. There's a number of senators that have already said they can't sign off on this bill as it exists. Yeah. So there's going to be negotiations. Realistically, you're looking at the end of July.
Okay.
Is when we should see something that becomes law.
Yes, and that would be the tax cuts that the president passed.
Correct. And the bill that's out there, you've got the permanent extension of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So the rates and the standard deduction, all of that's being made permanent. Okay. And then there's a number of business items in there. There's a number of phase outs on. So it's a whole bunch of stuff that all needs to get worked out. It's going to be an interesting summer.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll keep everybody on top of it, that's for sure. Okay, so in the meantime, we need to start putting money aside. I know it seems really hard for people right now to think about that, but how much should we really have in an emergency fund?
Experts would tell you should have 3 to 6 months of living expenses set aside. So when you think about that, you're talking mortgage or rent, food, car payments. If you wanted to put a dollar amount to it, there's been studies that's roughly 6 months is about $35,000. And again, somebody who doesn't have a fund might be saying, "Oh my God, how do I do that? I'm living paycheck to paycheck." Or, here's the key. You just got to start.
Just start, yeah.
Get something set aside for that unexpected emergency. I'm going to use myself. Perfect example. 2 cars had major issues that you don't expect. But it's an expensive. So that's what that fund is for. Yeah. Now, how do I get there? Number one, look at your budget. Or do a budget if you haven't. Examine your expenses, and then say, where can I make cuts? For me, a great example.
The daily coffee?
Daily coffee is a great one. That's me. And so start there. Automate your savings. So you get paid, it goes into your checking account. If you don't have a savings account, get it set up and do an automatic transfer. Okay. Just move.
Every month?
Every month. And even if it's only $10, $20, it builds up over time. You have to have discipline, meaning that if you see that money sitting in your bank,
you've got to keep it there.
You might want to open up an account in another bank and move your savings where you're not looking at it on a daily basis.
Okay, that's a good tip. So that you're not looking and being,
Absolutely. And then I think the other big one when you think about it is windfalls. If doing your financials and you realize, oh my God, we have an extra $2,000. There's a perfect start to a fund. Yeah. You get your tax refund. Perfect start to a fund, to an emergency fund. Those are things that you should be doing. Now, if you already have a fund, then it's pretty much re-examining your budget and really looking, fine-tuning, what can I give up? Okay. And if you can do that, then the other big one would be, can I refinance some debts?
Sure.
That's important because look at your credit cards. If I'm paying credit cards and I have a high interest rate and I have an opportunity to refinance to a lower interest rate, that monthly payment you're making is going to be smaller. And that means you have more money to put
away
into a fund.
There you go. Good tips there. And just a reminder that we need to do these things just in case, and knock on wood, no cars need to go in the shop, right?
Correct.
But it does happen. Charlie, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.